How you doing, everybody? Welcome back to Before I Forget. This is my video channel inspired by my Instagram channel, 1985 Road Dog. This channel here is devoted to my stories of my life in music. First as a fan, and then as somebody that worked in the music business. I've written a book called Tales from the Gutter and Other Rock and Roll Shenanigans. It's available now, Kindle, softcover, hardcover on Amazon and Barnes & Noble and all over the place there online, so look for that. Today I'm going to talk about Kelly Nichols. A lot of people ask me, why do you have so many photos of Kelly Nichols? If you look at my Instagram, 1985 Road Dog, I have a lot of photos of Kelly, mainly because we were friends. We still are friends, but I mean, you know, in those days, you know, early 80s, mid 80s, Kelly was a roadie for a cover band, which I've said many times. My friends Bruno Ravel and Steve West were in this band Hotshot. They were a cover band. They did all the new wave songs. Kelly was the roadie. So we've been friends for so long and just so comfortable with each other. And it just, you know, as he progressed in music and got in different bands and ended up in LA Guns, and then I started working for LA Guns right when their first album came out, right when they went on their first big tour. In 1988, I was their road manager. So the friendship just continued and the insanity just intensified. I mean, I always had a camera and I was always taking pictures. And I was very comfortable with Kelly more than anybody as far as taking photographs. And Mick. But Kelly I'd known for so long. I mean, I was taking pictures of Kelly and Bruno and Steve and all those guys back then, you know, way back when they were playing bars and clubs, you know, as a cover band. I was always taking pictures. So when it came time for LA Guns, I was really, you know, Kelly and I were tight. I mean, I roomed with Kelly and I roomed with Mick. You know, the other guys, you know, we were tight, but it's not like I was with Kelly. I mean, we were just, you know, crazy friends. Had been through crazy stuff together. Just, you know, so it was easy for me to take pictures of him, and it was easy for him to relax and let me take pictures of him. I have a lot of pictures of Kelly Nichols. So there's some I could never print, and, you know, I could never show anybody. And they're not all what you think they are. It's just like, you know, there's an unwritten rule, like, you know, I can't share that, you know what I mean? So, but I have a lot of pictures of Kelly and Mick. Those are the two guys I was tightest with on the road, was Kelly and Mick. We shared a lot of the same ideals, and we also were the same kind of people. You know, like I had said, you know, Steve Riley was older and is married and, you know, played his gig and socialized with the fans a little bit and went back to the hotel and went to sleep. You know, Tracy and Phil were out there, very visible all the time. You know, Phil could disappear and you wouldn't see him for a day, or, you know, he'd lock himself in his room with somebody, or you wouldn't see him for a day or two if he had a day off. You know, Tracy was always with the same kind of girl, and he was always, you know, always found time to hang out with the females he liked. But Tracy was always good with the fans. He was always out there, you know, meeting people and all that kind of stuff. You know, and, you know, Mick was you know, I'd gotten married in the middle of that first tour, and Mick was with his wife, who was his, you know, fiance up until that point, I guess you could call it. He was with her through the whole time I was with them. And Kelly was just, you know, Kelly was the hunk of the month. I mean, if you know, all the magazines back then, there was a magazine called Blast. There was a magazine called Rock Scene, not the original Rock Scene, a second Rock Scene. There were all these different magazines. The big guys were Cream and Circus. And then later on, Circus had all the really good Mark Weiss color photos. Later on, there was Rip magazine, of course, but there was a lot of the smaller magazines, Metal Licks. And anyway, Kelly Nichols ended up in all these magazines, full-page color, punk of the month. You know, he got all the girls, really. I think Kelly was the real heartthrob in LA Guns. And you know, we know each other and knew each other as just crazy dudes from New York that would just get drunk and fucked up and do stupid shit. So it was kind of funny to just watch it and just see. I was excited for him and for the band and everything, but just to, I'd look at him in certain situations and just be like, this is the knucklehead that I got thrown out of this bar with or whatever. So, it was easy for me to take pictures of Kelly. We were together a lot, goofing around. He was always a camera hog, even when he was a roadie. There's some pictures I have of him in the roadie days I'm going to post at some point. I mean, he was always that guy. The difference was he wasn't a roadie. He became the bass player in LA Guns. So, but he was always the same guy throughout all of that. He was the same dude. When I first met him, he was just starting to play bass. He was, he's playing bass. He wasn't great. In Danger Danger, Bruno Ravel, the bass player in Danger Danger, his dad is in the New York Philharmonic, or he was, front chair, violin, heavy scene, classical. I think Bruno was a cello player. Bruno knows classical music. So Bruno's a really good musician, really good ear. If something's out of pitch or out of tune or off key, he'd know immediately, Bruno's that kind of a guy. Kelly's not that kind of a bass player. It's like Kelly kind of made it before Bruno and Steve got their record deal. Kelly was in LA Guns and on his way. I don't think the first Danger Danger album didn't come out till 1989, if I'm correct. And by that time, LA Guns was on their second album, Cocked and Loaded. I mean, Bruno would come at some shows. I mean, I remember when LA Guns played the Meadowlands opening for AC/DC, Bruno came down. He was backstage hanging out and stuff. But it's like, I don't want to say there was competition, but it's just like, Kelly made it before Bruno, kind of, and made it a little bigger in sales and influence and stuff. But Bruno was a better musician. But there was always the competition for girls, too. Kelly, as the roadie in this band, would get a lot of the girls that the band wanted to get. So the band was after the girls, and they would end up with Kelly a lot of the time. I mean, I wrote in my book, true story, he was the roadie, and he would do the lights. So one night he left all the light faders up. The lights just were on, constant on the stage, and they got really hot, and the light board caught on fire. Kelly was outside in the equipment truck, getting a blowjob. I mean, so there was always that, like, Kelly was the roadie, but he was pushing the band guys in Hotshot as far as girls, So to see him in LA Guns and, the whole Sharice Neal story, if you've read my book, I mean, the guy had a lot of girls always wanting to be with Kelly. But he was pretty picky, I would have to say. He wasn't slutty, but when he found somebody he liked, it was on. So, that's why I have so many pictures of Kelly Nichols. And, Mick again. I mean, I'm really tight with Mick. So, we just became friends and bonded. And it's, not all personalities bond forever. But it was a fun time. That's why I have so many pictures of Kelly. Thanks for watching. I appreciate you tuning in. Check out my Instagram if you haven't, 1985, Road Dog, my book, Tales from the Gutter and Other Rock and Roll Shenanigans. Out now. Check it out. Find it online. Amazon, etc. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. Catch you next time. Bye-bye.